Hey guys, we are back with another lab upgrade video. Last year, we reviewed a 15-inch 4K portable monitor by UPerfect. And I've been browsing YouTube and I saw they released an OLED monitor. So I reached out and here we go. It is the UPerfect UColor O2. There is a lot to cover. In short, this is a 16-inch portable monitor with an OLED panel, 2880 by 1800 resolution, 120 Hz high refresh rate, a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which is awesome for creating content. It has a soft cover with a built-in stand, and it comes in at a great price. So let's check it out. Full disclosure, UPerfect sent me this monitor for free and I do get to keep it. It's installed already and I will be using it going forward. So if you have any specific questions about settings, don't be shy, leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. So let's start talking about the main highlight, which is the OLED panel. With traditional monitors like this one, you have a large LED backlight and then you have liquid crystals that can be twisted to block or pass through light. This blocking of light is not perfect. Imagine you have a curtain and there's always a little bit of light coming through, and that is why with most LED, LCD monitors, pure blacks are not possible. You get some sort of a dark gray at best. With OLED, there is no backlight. Each pixel is made up of a few tiny LEDs. It's self-emitting, and if you want to display black, well, you just turn off these LEDs and you get pure dark black. So the contrast ratio is amazing. For example, with an IPS panel, you get a contrast ratio of around 1000 to 1. With VA, it's around 3000 to 1. With OLED, it's 100,000 to 1. What that basically means is that the image is absolutely amazing. The colors pop and the details in the shadows are really amazing. For example, if you're watching science fiction movies with a lot of dark scenes, this is where OLED display technology really shines. You also get really good viewing angles. So if you're sitting off center or you're watching the screen from an angle, the colors are not shifting and the brightness is also constant. In terms of colors, the specifications state a 100% coverage of the DCI P3 color space. Be aware that this is a glossy panel. This further helps to increase the contrast. I love glossy panels. I used to have a LCD TV with a glossy panel and it was absolutely beautiful, but it's not for everyone. The monitor has decent brightness. The specifications state a brightness of 500 candelas per square meters. It also supports HDR. I used a power meter to measure the power consumption at peak brightness. So basically I just opened Notepad, a white background and maxed out the brightness setting, and I saw a reading of only 16 watts. The resolution is 2880 by 1800 with a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So it's not quite 4K, but it's close enough, and personally, I really like the 16 by 10 aspect ratio, especially for creating content. For example, when editing videos, you just have that little bit more room for fitting your timeline and preview window onto the screen. And because of the OLED technology with perfect blacks, when watching a movie with letterboxing, well, the black bars at the top and the bottom, they look stunning. They, basically blend into the panel frame. You don't see any washed out gray like with an IPS panel. So absolutely beautiful. One interesting thing I noticed is in the corners, they are a little bit rounded. This is something I haven't seen in a monitor before. Some of the phones also have this going on, but that's definitely something you should be aware of, and this is why I'm mentioning it. The monitor supports high refresh rates, so make sure you go into your display settings and double check that you're running at a high refresh rate. Now, the supported hertz, it depends a little bit on the cable that you're using. If you're connecting with USB-C, you can use the maximum resolution, the full native resolution at 120 Hz. With HDMI, however, you have to drop down to either 100 Hz at the full resolution, or if you really need 120 Hz, you need to drop down to a lower resolution. So with HDMI, I recommend you stick with the full resolution, but only 100 Hz. Now, my previous UPerfect monitor, it had 60 Hz, which is fine. But once you go to 120 Hz, everything is immediately smoother. Not just gaming, but even dragging windows across or doing your video editing, everything is smoother and more responsive. And OLED is also amazing for gaming. Now, me personally, I'm more into the older games. I've got a huge backlog of games from GOG or Steam, and you can run such games maxed out at 120 Hz and it's silky smooth. The stated response time is 1 milliseconds, and all in all, for gaming, you will not be disappointed. It looks great, it feels great, it's beautiful. In the box, we have the monitor, of course, with a cover case. There is a 30-watt power supply with a USB-C port, a user manual. There are 2 USB-C cables in the box and 1 HDMI cable with a full-size HDMI port on one end and a mini HDMI port on the other one. The cover case also acts as a portable stand. Make sure you flip over the edge to make sure it's stable and doesn't slip out. There are also 4 screws for the VESA mount. Now, I'm using a monitor stand with a VESA mount, and something I noticed is my VESA mount is universal. It supports 75 by 75 and 100 by 100 sizes. And on this monitor, it sticks out a little bit. So if you're planning on using a monitor stand with this screen, make sure that the VESA mount is only 75 by 75. There are built-in speakers. On the left side are the controls, and on the right side are the 3 input ports. Speaking of controls, here are photos of all the on-screen menu options. I left everything at default. I only increased the brightness to 50, but everything else is the way it came out of the box. It's compact and light, 0.72 kilograms or 1.59 pounds. Perfect for small computer labs like mine, but maybe you are a digital nomad or you're traveling and you want to play games or create content on the move. And what about price? Now, prices can always change, but at the time of producing the video, it was listed at 349 USD, but we have a $50 discount coupon down below in the video description. So you're looking at only 300 USD for this OLED monitor. So I've been using this monitor now for roughly a week on the channel, creating content, playing a few games, and yes, I'm absolutely happy with it. I haven't really run into any issues. The only one is that you should be using the supplied power supply. My mini PC, you can drive the monitor directly with USB-C, but at the maximum brightness, it's a little bit too much. The screen will just switch off. So it's recommended to use the supplied USB-C power adapter to make sure the monitor is getting enough power. I've been editing a few videos and playing a few retro games, and the contrast ratio and the colors, it is really a step up from a traditional LED LCD monitor. Be it VA or IPS or TN, OLED is really a game changer if you care about that aspect in a monitor. You really notice it when you go back and use a normal monitor. Then suddenly the colors and the contrast and the blacks, it just doesn't look nearly as nice. I also really like the high refresh rate. Editing videos, just like making cuts to your timeline and moving clips around, it's smoother and faster. Just dragging windows across the screen, it's a big difference. And playing games, of course, it's a game changer. I've been playing some Far Cry and a bit of DOSBox, some classic adventures, and they look stunning on this monitor, and it's silky smooth. So all in all, I really haven't found any negative issues with this screen. Everything has worked as expected, and yeah, the image quality is absolutely stunning. So from me, it's getting a thumbs up. I can definitely recommend this one. Now I want to hear from you. What is your take on OLED? Have you had the pleasure to experience one? Maybe you've got an OLED screen on your mobile phone, so watching movies is actually a really high quality experience if you can put up with the small size. And the price is very decent. Yes, it's only a 16-inch screen, but for retro gaming, look, that's all you need. If you're into DOSBox, arcade emulators, and so on, maybe you want to use such a monitor, put it in a arcade cabinet or something like that. And digital nomads, traveling, put it in your carry-on luggage, and off you go. And there you go. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. And as I mentioned, I'm using the monitor in my lab, so any questions, I can quickly do some tests and come back to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support, and I shall see you soon with another one.